Well, then why don't we kick this off and just say hello to everybody? So, howdy, y'all. My name's Liz. I work here, and I'm thrilled to death that y'all are here today with us for our Event Minds Matter and Club Ichi collaborative Valentine's Day Love Fest. Welcome, Janice Cardinale of Event Minds Matter. Why don't you kick us off officially, Janice?
Thanks, Liz. I'm so happy to be here. I feel blessed that we can do something that has nothing to do with business and everything to do with fun. Even though I did ask the question, what do you love about the industry? That's like a truth or dare. So, not to worry. But really, I'm excited today about our special guest, Melody Godfred, who I met on LinkedIn, believe it or not, which is where I meet most people. So I don't know. This LinkedIn is better than in real life because I can't tell you. I have so many people that I've met. I would have never met them had it not been for COVID. Um, anyways, so Melody says that so many years of education, yet nobody ever taught us how to love ourselves or why it is so important. And you know what? I agree. We don't teach a lot of these things, and we should. So Melody sells herself as the uh, self love philosopher. And I would say that that's true, especially with the books that she has written, which are, I believe, three or four, Melody.
Or now.
Four. Well, I've got the self love poetry I know you wrote, and I know you wrote the ABCs of self love. And I also know you wrote about the shift. What
Mhm.
was the fourth one I'm missing?
So the fourth just came out in October. It's called Moon Garden Poetry for Manifestation.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
So you live in Los Angeles. You have twin daughters or
Mhm.
sons? Daughters?
Twin daughters, 13 year
Daughters,
olds.
13 years of age. God bless you. Because I have twins, so I know what that age range, how that went. It was scary. But yeah, I'm so happy to have you here and for you to, have been willing to come on and talk to us a little bit about you and your background and, what brought you into this. Because when people hear that you were initially a litigation lawyer that went into self-love, that's quite the changeover.
Mhm.
So I don't know when you made that pivot, but I think it was a good one.
Thank you. I'm
So
quite
take it
pleased with it
away.
myself. Thank you for the beautiful intro and for the invitation to spend this time with all of you. As Janice said, I'm Melody Godfred. I'm a poet, author, entrepreneur, and speaker, and I am most passionate about self love. I had never heard the words self love in 2015, and my life demonstrated that. I had done everything you're supposed to do. I was a high achieving student. I had gone to the best prep school in Los Angeles. I made my way through college, double majoring and taking honors courses and studying abroad and checking box after box after box, as I'm sure many people on this call did as well. And the reward I got after all of that achieving was an incredible office on the 20th floor of a building with an ocean view and the title of litigation attorney. And something really peculiar happened. I got there, and the pot of gold, which I always envisioned was sheer bliss and happiness because I had done everything right, wasn't waiting for me. And that was really jarring. To do everything right and not experience fulfillment felt like I got cheated. And when I thought about it and I looked at my life, I realized that I had climbed the mountain, but I had unfortunately left myself behind. And that is when I started thinking about, okay, well, who is this self that I left behind? And how can I invite her back into the journey of my life? And that's where it started, and where I really was lucky enough to discover this anonymous quote that floats around the internet that Janice shared at the beginning of the call. So many years of education, yet no one ever taught us to love ourselves or why it's so important. What does self love mean? In the 2026 world, we hear this phrase a lot. I mean, if you look at the Google Trends over the last decade, this has skyrocketed to the top of the search results. It's also, given birth to so many industries. You cannot flip through Instagram or go to the store without seeing someone sell you something with the word self-love in it. But the truth is, self-love has very little to do with bubble baths, although they are quite enjoyable, and everything to do with doing the hard work of self-discovery, self-acceptance, and ultimately self-integration. And that is the journey that I embarked upon when I decided that no part of me was off limits and that my authentic self deserved to be the focal point of my life. What does that mean? What does it mean, your authentic self? Again, like getting to the heart of it. Your authentic self is the version of you that existed before the dust of adulthood dulled your shine. It was the version of you that existed before you learned things like regret or fear or shame. It's when you were making decisions from a place of intuition instead of other people's opinions. And the beauty of your authentic self is that it is never too late to be who you are. And I'm the perfect example of that. I'm going to take you back to the girl I was before I got on the bullet train of success, before I decided that achieving an ambition were the well I was going to drink from every day of my life. If I take you back to the girl I was when I was 4 years old, 7 years old, 10 years old, I was writing music, I was writing poetry, I was singing songs, and I have the journals and diaries to prove it. I felt most alive and most in alignment between my inner and outer world when I was being creative and expressive. I only recently discovered that when I was 10 years old, I actually published my first poem. A teacher of mine invested in me and saw something in me and submitted one of my poems to a young anthology for poets. And I didn't discover that that had happened as an adult until after I had started publishing books again. So there was this entire 20-year period of my life where my true self was slumbering right here in my home library, and I didn't even know. And how easy is it to go down that road of leaving yourself behind? But what I have loved about the last decade or so of my life is it's been a period of deep exploration and reclamation. And the best part about it is that in discovering myself, I've been able to invite others to join me in discovering themselves as well. In 2016, I launched a self-love movement called Fred and Far, powered by the self-love pinky ring. The self-love pinky ring is a ring I designed for women to wear as a reminder that they deserve their own love and care. And when I invited women to join this movement through this ring, I asked for their stories. I asked them to share with me, what does it mean for you to choose yourself? Who is this authentic version of you that you're about to unleash into the world? What does self-love look like for you? And for 10 years, I collected their stories and shared them with the world. And the beauty of that experience is it is what reconnected me with my calling of writing poetry. With every story that I would read from a woman about what it meant to reclaim her self-worth, what it meant to recover after a difficult relationship, what it meant to survive being widowed, or the countless different ways in which women had journeyed through the world. Each one of those moments in their lives that they shared with me was the catalyst for diving into what self-love is through poetry. I originally self-published self-love poetry for Thinkers and Feelers, which was my first poetry book, and it resonated. I had a lot of shame around self-publishing at first. I thought, this is never going to work out. There's no way this can be a real thing. And within a month, a publisher contacted me and offered me a 3-book deal. And that really is the power of aligning with your authentic voice, with your truth, with the deep wisdom that just is, that we all know because we feel it in our gut. And that book led to the ABCs of self-love, which really is my primer, not just for others to read, but also for myself, a reminder of what it actually means to practice self-love. A is, of course, for authenticity, as I've been sharing with you. But then there are letters like B, which is for boundaries, something that as an immigrant, eldest child, daughter, I didn't really know how to set until I was an adult. Other letters that really made a huge impact on me were emotional empowerment, which is for E, which is about feeling your feelings. Joy, which is something that I didn't realize is different than happiness until I wrote the book. Whereas happiness is something that is impacted by external stimulus and can go up and down depending on what happens to you. Joy is a more profound, deep sense of inner peace and well being that I have only been able to access when I practice self love. You know, sometimes self love can be perceived as a threat because it has been so associated with ideas like selfishness. But the truth is that love is an endless well. And I truly believe that love is the reason why we are here, and it is what connects us to each other. You can absolutely love others without loving yourself first. You can absolutely love others while being extraordinarily hard on yourself. But as we go into Valentine's Day, the question I want to pose to you is, don't you deserve your best love, the love that you typically reserve for everyone else in your life? And what would life look like if you can walk through it from a place of wholeness instead of being fractured into your good parts and your bad parts? What does life look like when you reclaim your own worth instead of so easily giving it away? The last thing I'll leave you with, and I really want us to feel open to having a conversation because I'd love to answer your questions. I think gratitude has such an important role to play in this story of living your truth, of being your authentic self, of walking through life from a place of self-worth, wholeness, love, and integration. Gratitude is what roots us in the present moment. When you can look around and use your senses and see all that there is to be grateful for, despite the very many perils that we're faced with in the world right now, it brings you into your body. And the beauty of that is your body will never lie. Your body doesn't know about your regrets, about the things you think you did wrong, about the fears you hold for the future. Your body wants to be exactly where it is. And when you are in the moment, that is when your intuition flourishes. It's when you start cultivating that deep knowing about what is right for you. And we all have that capacity. And I think when we choose gratitude and love as our anchors, we really open ourselves up not only to our connection with ourselves, but also our connection with each other, which I think is more important than ever. In self-love poetry, I share self-love and sisterhood will save the planet. I don't think it's limited to sisterhood. I think self-love and a broader love for each other is what we all so deeply need and can offer each other in this moment, especially as we leading to Valentine's Day, a holiday that also sometimes gets bogged down in the superficialities, when in reality, it is such a beautiful opportunity to make love the central guide, your North Star, and something that you can really root into no matter what life throws at you. So I'm really grateful that I discovered self-love. It's what led me to start multiple businesses. One of them, the self-love movement I shared with you, another a career counseling business. I've written 4 books in the last 5 years. And what I can share with you is this, that every single time I am honest about my purpose on this planet, it opens new pathways for me. And I think we are all one of a kind for a reason. We are here with singular purpose. We all have something to offer. We all have a way to be of service. And it's intentional that we are all unique in terms of our gifts. So self-love is a commitment, not only to your authenticity for you, but so you can get that passionate well of energy to draw from to be of service to the world, which is what I believe each of you do every time you throw an event. Every time you bring people together, you are honoring your purpose. And I hope that through this talk and through my books, you can get a little bit more connected to what your divine purpose is on this planet, so that you could then in turn continue to offer it to the world with love, of course. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. And I'm curious about something, so I'll get this conversation started.
Mhm.
Um, Cosmopolitan magazine spoke about the movement of the pinky ring. Can you
Mhm.
talk to that, please?
Yeah, so it was an extraordinary experience coming up with that idea and sharing it with the world. In 2015, it was January, it was the new year. I felt this intense pressure to set a resolution, like everyone does at the start of the year. And the resolution I made started in a jewelry store. I love jewelry. I've always been a part of a family where we celebrate milestones and commemorate things with heirlooms that get passed down through the family. And I thought to myself, okay, what if this year for my resolution, the resolution I make is to get to know myself again, to really reconnect with the things that gave me joy when I was younger, that maybe have gotten a little bit lost in the shuffle as adulthood started taking its toll. I was in my mid 30s at this point. And I went to a jewelry store and I found a little ring and I decided I'm going to wear it on a new finger. I've never worn a pinky ring. I want to set an intention because I already had an engagement ring and I already knew how it felt to wear something as a symbol of commitment. And I thought to myself, well, if I can commit to my husband in this really tactile way, why can't I have a reminder to commit to myself? And so I wore the ring, and within a few weeks, I noticed things were changing. Every time I would look at it, I would ask myself, how are you choosing yourself today? How are you honoring yourself today? How are you remembering yourself today? Because so often as a parent, it's easy to forget you even exist. And so when it worked for me, I thought, well, I can't be the only person who feels this way. And even though I didn't have any experience with jewelry or e-commerce or community building, I set out to start a company that stood for more than just a ring, but for a community. And I made the ring, I made it available, and within 6 months, it went viral um, with no paid media. It just got picked up by one after another after another. 100 outlets around the world wrote about it in a span of 6 weeks. And we reached women in 60 countries within the first year. And that was where really my masters in this happened. It was this organic process of committing to a really true idea, something that I knew I needed, and then sharing it with the world.
That's amazing. I love that idea. I've never thought about, I love pinky rings, by the way, but I've
Yeah.
never thought about putting one on and thinking about, what it represents to me. I've
Yeah.
always looked at it, oh, that's a pretty ring, but not taking it any further than that. But that's amazing. Does anybody in our audience have any questions for Melody? Because I have more, but I don't want to hog the microphone, so to speak.
I'm also looking at the comments, Jen. Yes, it's amazing to see how this is now becoming something that is getting picked up and expanded. A lot of women are transforming their wedding rings into freedom rings or self commitment rings. And what I loved about the movement I started is it was equal opportunity. It didn't matter where you were in your life. There were women who joined me who were teenagers. There were women who joined me who were in their 80s. And every single one had a different story. But this commitment to self is something we can all give to ourselves at any time. And it was so beautiful to watch people come together around this idea. Because again, there was community baked into it. It wasn't just about, hey, I'm going to choose myself and put myself first. It was, hey, I'm going to choose myself, and in that, gain access to a worldwide community of people who are just as invested in honoring themselves and being there for each other as I am.
I have another question for you, and that is behind your head, there is a gorgeous uh, content painting, and it's very fascinating. Tell us a story about where that came from.
So, this is a piece of art that a dear friend of mine made. My husband commissioned it for my birthday a few years ago. And it is one of my poems from self love poetry that reads, self care saved my body, self love saved my soul. And that really is it in a nutshell. I think we can take care of ourselves and commit to showing up for ourselves and our bodies every single day. But we also have to remember that we have to love on our souls as well. And it's that holistic approach to honoring yourself that I think is the integration piece. Like, how can you take care of your body? How can you work out? How can you drink the water? How can you do all the things that these days we are being asked to do? But also, how do you give yourself grace? How do you show yourself mercy? How do you allow yourself to have faith in yourself and in the world at large so that you can have peace of mind?
Another question. There are many people in our community here, and they're not all here, but who are struggling right now finding a job.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of rejection out there, which is difficult to handle. And I just wondered how would you guide them? What would you say to them is important for just them? Okay,
Yes.
and how they feel about themselves. Because I think, that's you start to look at yourself and go, okay, is there something wrong with me? Did I, maybe it's just your resume or whatever, but why am I getting all this rejection? So do you have advice for these people?
Yes. So I was a career counselor for 10 years. I had a resume writing business and I worked with thousands of people. And the most important part of that process was helping people understand that they are more than just their resumes. They are more than just a sequence of events in their lives. And the best thing that you can do during this time of trying to find the right job for you is to really understand what your through line is and who you are as a person in a bigger scale than just the jobs that you've had, because your worth, your identity is not limited by the opportunities you've had so far. And the best way, in my opinion, to get through that experience of, the 100th rejection is to really root into community. Your next job is more likely to come from someone you know than it is from a blind job application on LinkedIn. And the more you can invest your time in being vulnerable with your community, asking for help, being open to opportunities, the more you realize that you are a person of value and you're not just defined by the last job that you have. On a bigger picture, though, life is going to give us many, many, many disappointments, whether it's in our careers or our relationships. That's why I think self-love as a daily practice is so important, because otherwise you do become depleted. You do find yourself at the mercy of what happens to you. And I have found that for me, what has allowed me to endure so many ups and downs over the last 10 years is I have myself. Whereas before, I was my number one punching bag. And, in my book, one of the things I share is if you're feeling bruised, stop using yourself as a punching bag. We are so quick to villainize ourselves and think we are not good enough, that we didn't do enough. And now I have a mantra before I go to bed. I tell myself, you did your best. And giving yourself that grace, I think, is the only way to weather the difficulties that life puts in our path. Is the world will be cruel to you. You should not be cruel to you. You should allow yourself love, because that's what's going to give you the energy to go out back and hit the pavement and apply for that 101st job. And I can give you an example. A dear friend of mine was laid off because she took a maternity leave. She came back to her job and they had said they would hold it for her, and they didn't. And she applied to 200 jobs over the course of 18 months and did countless projects and kept putting herself out there. And it was the grimmest time of her life, but she never lost faith in who she was and what she had to offer. And then she got declined for a job, and 3 months later they came back and said we made a mistake, and they hired her for a contract job, and now she is running the entire department. But that was only possible because even when they turned her down, instead of shutting down and losing her confidence, she said to them, this is my top choice. I want to work at your company. Thank you so much for even considering me for this role. If anything opens up in the future, please give me a call. And they called. And I truly think it's because she didn't lose her confidence in herself and her belief that she was worthy of the opportunity. And that's what ultimately brought it back to her.
That's an incredible story. It's important because I know of people and have read their stories about things like that, about going on maternity leave and coming back to not having anything and the struggle.
Mhm.
Um, it's interesting. I think that, you know, it's you need a lot of love for
Yes.
sure to, embrace what's happening. And I guess my next question might be something to the fact of there are people who, grow up without that love.
Mhm.
So they don't know, what love really is to begin with.
Yes.
Or maybe they've lost their parents or who knows what, and they're on their own. So later on in life, how does one connect with love? Because you wouldn't necessarily self-love yourself, but where would you start to go to find that love?
I think part of it for me has been about letting the body lead, because I, as someone who really oftentimes gets lost in my thoughts and can tend to ruminate and just really, really get overwhelmed in my own thinking, I have only recently, as an adult, discovered the power of my body and the power of movement and the power of meditation and just pulling myself out of my ego and into my essence. And I think that's where love lives. I don't think love is a thought. I think love is a grounded, bodily, human, deeply human experience where you feel a sense of connection and peace. And so for me, I was very loved. I'm very fortunate, but I did not know how to give that same feeling to myself at all. And so for me, I root into music, I root into dance, I root into anything that allows me the opportunity to not think so much. That has been one of my core pathways to self love and love in general. Even with my family, I've realized that I'm a much better mom when there's music on and when music is off, because it just reminds me to be where I am and to be rooted in my body. And for everyone, it's different. Like, I do believe that we are all turned on by things. And I think desire is a lost art. I think we all forget that to feel alive is to feel that electricity in your body and that desire for things. So, what is your desire and how can you give it to yourself? For someone, it might be nature. There's someone on this call who spends 15 hours a day in front of a computer when what they really crave is to be out in the wild. So how can you put yourself out in the wild? How can you give yourself what you actually need? And it's not easy. It's honestly, it's work to get to know yourself, especially as an adult when you've had so many iterations of yourself. But I think we are all deserving of that time and care.
Liz, are there any questions or commentaries in the chat?
Yeah,
Anna's
what
scroll through
suggestions do
the
you have
phone.
during event management while on site for tips to just get back into your body?
Breath is my favorite self-regulation tool. A few years ago, I mean, it's been like probably over 10, someone invented something called Aspire. It was a wearable device that tracked your breathing. And I wore it for a while. And what I realized is that when I'm on my computer or on my phone, I stop breathing. It would literally have to tell me, like, it would buzz and say, breathe, breathe. And I realized, oh my God, when we are locked into work, we engage in shallow breath, which then completely dysregulates your entire nervous system. And I can imagine that when you're running an event, breathing is the last thing on your mind. But taking even 30 seconds to do a box breath, a long inhale, a pause, a long exhale, a pause, doing that 4 or 5 times will immediately regulate your body. And I never knew that. I never realized I wasn't breathing until this little device told me. And so I would even say right now, like, will you guys breathe with me for like 30 seconds? Just deep breath in, hold it in, deep breath out, hold, let it out, deep breath in. This time when you breathe out, I want you to make a noise. So I don't know about you. I just took deep 2 breaths and my body feels different. And I've also found that vocal breath, like even like a yell, a scream, this is going to sound funny, but a few years ago, I yelled at my children so loud for some stupid reason in the kitchen. And even though I felt really guilty about it, in truth, I actually felt amazing. I was like, whoa, that felt so good. And it's because our throats, our throat chakras, our diaphragms get so locked up that all it takes is like a really good yell and everything just bursts open. And so now I take an exercise class once a week called The Class. They have a digital studio, so you can even try it online, where part of this somatic movement experience is to vocalize. Like you have women in there, men too, yelling at the top of their lungs. And there's this amazing music playing, and you're in a room full of people, and everyone gives each other permission to do whatever it is they need. And it might be crying, might be yelling. I've heard people laughing. And that is one of my favorite self-care practices, just letting it out. Like, how long have you been holding your breath? How long have you been biting your tongue? How long have you been holding in a scream of grief, of rage, of pain, of anything? How long have you been holding it? I want to invite you to let it go. It can be in your car, it can be in the shower, it could be at a local movement studio where you go to the instructor and you say, hey, can we have a screaming class? I hear this is something people do. And that primal scream it's ancient. It's not something new. And I think we've all kind of lost touch with our primal essence. And that is also where I think love lives. I think love is intuitive, it's primal, it's ancestral, and we are all kind of closed off to it.
Here's another one in the chat. In the state of the world today, some people might view the concept of self-love as a selfish act when it feels like we should be doing more. Can you speak to the grace of making yourself a priority?
Yes, absolutely. So in self-love poetry, I share you can't pour from an empty cup, but you can't drink from an empty cup either. This filling yourself up is not just about taking care of the world, it's also about taking care of yourself. And these two things are secular. The more you have to offer, the more you have to offer. We cannot give to the world when we have nothing to give. And so I actually believe that self-love is an incredible act of service, not just energetically, but also for me, self-love is a commitment to your authenticity. And you can feel when someone is aligned. They are magnetic, they are energized. When someone lives in a way that is not aligned with their truth, when they are not aligned with their needs, you feel it around them. They're agitated. There isn't alignment there. And when you are moving through life from that space of misalignment, you have nothing to offer the world. Whereas I think when you care for yourself and get to know yourself and fill yourself up, that's when you really have something to like really substantial to offer. And I'm sure any of you who are parents have experienced this. When are you a better parent? When you spend 7 days in a row at the mercy of everyone else's needs, or when you spend 6.5 days in a row for everyone else, and then you spend 2 hours doing something that you love? Like, how does that change the equation of your life? And hopefully it isn't 2 hours on Sunday. Hopefully it's 15 minutes or an hour every day where you allow yourself to exist in your own life. And I think that is the piece we are all giving up without ever thinking about it. Why are we so quick to sacrifice ourselves? Why are we so comfortable martyring ourselves? And who actually benefits? Please tell me, have you ever met a martyr that was pleasant to be around? Like someone who just absolutely doesn't take care of their needs? No one wants to be around that person. That the level of resentment and disappointment and pain and burnout that accrues is not healthy for anyone. Whereas when you are in alignment, when you practice balance, when you practice love, you become the most magnetic person in the room. And I think that the world needs people who are energized right now, because there is so much happening that is just trying to beat us down. There is so much to be worried about. and so much real conflict and crisis, how are we meant to face it when we are running on empty? So I actually think that self-love isn't selfish. This is not a finite resource. Love does not run out. When we give it to ourselves, we are that much better prepared to take care of the world when it needs it the most.
It's interesting because I grew up, and there's a song actually, Liz, about love is the drug.
Mm.
I don't remember who sang it, but I know Al would know this, right, Al? Love is the drug. Who's the group?
I know the song, but I can't think of the group right now.
Is
So
the
what
drug
happens when you
that
get
I'm
old.
thinking of, you know, but it is a drug,
Yeah.
in many ways, because it does do something to you euphorically that automatically makes you feel better. I'm wondering though, I'm kind of curious, what do you think that organizations, beyond, developing a caring culture, which some have, but a lot don't, do you think that they can develop any kind of, love? I guess maybe the people working there, could they, I mean, we always hear, oh, I love my job, you
Mhm.
know, or I hate my job, you know.
Yeah.
Um, is there a way for people who might be sort of on the fence about that, about whether or not they really love their job? Because I think when young people start, they have this ambition like you did, to become a litigation lawyer,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden they realize they don't love the choice they made.
Yeah.
So how would you maybe guide that with a younger person? Like, what would you tell your daughters?
Yeah. I think about this a lot. And I think it's partially because, even though I grew up in a family where, we were immigrants and there was so much pressure to survive, and, doctor and lawyer were presented as like the two viable options, I also had parents who really instilled in me, like, you could do what you want, you have so many talents, nurture them. They really invested in nurturing my talents. And now that I have children, I do want them to pursue their passions, but I also want them to be able to survive independently in the world. And how do we balance those two concepts of, yes, do what you love, but also exist in reality? And I think that's where self-love is so important, because my children won't only be their jobs. Like, they should not be looking to their job for the totality of their fulfillment in life. And I think that is the lesson I'm going to teach them, is how do you holistically create a life that fulfills you? Your job, I hope it is your greatest passion, and I hope it gives you the financial outcome that you need to be able to live the life that you want. But also, what about the other parts of your life? Who are you spending time with? What are you doing during your downtime? How are you creating rituals around your wellness so that you can experience longevity and a pain-free life? I mean, I know so many people that only in their 40s are realizing, like, oh shit, I have to take care of myself. Like, I have no habits around self-care because they were so busy hustling for so long just to be able to accelerate their careers. And so for our children, and my husband really gets credit for this, they have chores now because they want to earn an allowance, and he's teaching them financial literacy. He's making them read a book about it. And when you look at their chores, one of their chores is 20 minutes of physical movement every day. Like, that was definitely not part of my upbringing. Like, that was, taking care of my body and moving and being in motion. That was just not something I was taught. And now in my 40s, I'm having to teach myself, like, hey, like, leave your desk, go move a little bit. So I think for my children, my goal is to give them a really honest, but also well-rounded outlook on what their life should offer them. And I don't think it's only one thing. I do think you can have a job that doesn't fulfill you fully, and you can still have a fulfilling life. And vice versa. Like, you can have a job that you love and you're so passionate about, but doesn't really give you enough to be able to have the lifestyle you want. And I'm a great example of that. I was running two businesses at the same time when I wrote my first few books. And, it was a lot, but that's what I needed to do to create the space for the passion while still taking care of my family. Even now, yes, I'm a published author. You can find my books in bookstores all around the world. I've sold close to 400,000 copies of my books. And being an author is not the most lucrative thing. And I live in Los Angeles and I have 3 children. So I also do business consulting. I'm consulting a real estate company on their brand development and operations. And I'm still using that lawyer brain that for a few years of my life, I was so quick to push away and shun and say, oh, that's not me. My self-integration has been realizing, no, that is part of my story. I have so much to offer, so much to learn, so many ways in which I can move through this world. And it doesn't need to be all or nothing. It doesn't need to be you have your dream job that you're passionate about, or you have a job you hate. Like cultivating a fulfilling life is about looking at your whole life and asking yourself, how am I showing up for myself in this existence?
You talk about getting to the 40s and finding these things.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that comes to mind for me is that young people today, because they spend so much time online and in social media, I wonder to myself, when you're younger, you think that love is attached to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't look at it for yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be loved by your family and everything, but when you're a teenager or getting into your early 20s, having a date or, having a boyfriend or whatever the case may be. And, I think what's happening now with children also is the fact that they are, starting to look at love in social media as a hook.
Mm-hmm.
And we're starting to see the destruction around that.
Yeah, they
So,
see it as validation,
right.
right? It's about how many likes do I have? Who viewed my story? It's very external facing. And it's not, this is one of my biggest problems with what's happening right now is the communications that we're experiencing are one-sided. And I'll give you a perfect example. I have friends who have started sending me voice notes. And I, for the life of me, cannot understand it. I'm like, if you are taking the time to talk into your phone, why aren't you calling me so that we can have a shared experience? And it's almost like people have forgotten that you can hold space with other people at the same time. Everything has become so siloed, and that makes me very nervous. That's why events like this are so important to me and why I make space for them, is because I want to share space with you. I want us to be in this moment together in real time. I want it to be a two-way exchange. I want you to share with me about you and what you're feeling and whether this is resonating. I don't want to just talk into the ether and hope that one day it'll reach you and you'll give it a little heart. That is not human connection for me. And I think we're all sacrificing human connection for convenience and distraction. And I think that's really where the danger lies. It's like we are giving up what makes us human, and really isolating ourselves and going back to love, right? Like if love is why we are here and it is the energetic connection that we all share, it's impossible for that to exist on social media because there is no open exchange. It's not real time. It's not my heart expanding and your heart expanding and something happening between us in that moment. So, I don't let my kids go on social media, even though I spend far too much time on it myself. And one of the things that I'm really having to contend with is the truth, which is people don't do as you tell them to do. People model what it is you're doing. And whether those people are your children or your peers or your clients, they take your lead. They see how you show up. And so part of self-love for me is modeling for my children, because if I don't love myself, if I don't care for myself, if I don't accept and honor the totality of who I am and demonstrate that for them, what are they going to do? They're going to be equally stymied by shame and hiding who they are, the way I did when I was younger. And the best example I can give you that this is working, this approach of not teaching but doing, is the other day I was with my 7-year-old son and we were having a conversation about his school lunch. And he asked me, and this is going to sound so LA, he's like, did you get me the sushi I like? And I said, well, no, I went to Whole Foods and they didn't have it. And he goes, yeah, because Whole Foods doesn't carry the sushi I like. You have to go to the other market. And I just looked at him and I said, Teddy, I'm just doing my best. And he looked at me without skipping a beat and he said, Mama, whether you do your best or you do your worst, I still love you. And I'm getting teary. Like,
Boy, oh boy,
that's
can I ever relate to that?
that is the
Well, that's a
love.
sweet son because my daughter would have gone, well, your best wasn't good enough, mom.
So that just means you have to love yourself a little bit more. You're not modeling. You're not giving yourself grace. If you're holding yourself to an impossible standard, then they will hold you to an impossible standard.
You're
So,
right about out of the mouths of babes is what I always say.
yeah.
Liz, any other comments?
Loads of comments, but no questions in here.
No
But
questions.
yeah.
Okay. I just want to take a moment to invite everybody's pets if you actually did bring your pet, because we'd love to see them. We automatically feel a lot of love when we see animals. I don't know about everybody here, but I know I do. But does anybody have any pets?
Oh,
Aw,
there's Sarah Beth getting her little pug. Oh, okay. I don't
aw,
know who
I want to
Brainforth
see.
is, but I
Can we
love.
bring, can we focus on the people who do have their pets and putting them up on the screen?
Yeah, Sarah Beth and the
Oh,
pug.
come
I have to
on.
say though, ever since Men in Black, I can't look at a pug and not expect it to talk to me.
Well, she does
My,
talk. Well, she listens. There's not much
oh, look
going
how
on
cute.
there.
Oh
Oh
my
my God.
God. Oh, that is so beautiful.
Oh, that's
Thank you for
amazing.
sharing her
She's
with me.
very heavy. She's like holding a 20-pound bowling ball.
What's
Dawn,
her
who do
name?
you have?
Oh, Dawn, look at that. Is that a girl or a boy?
A boy.
Right? What's his name?
Oh, we can't hear you, Dawn. You're not muted, but I can't hear you.
Is it William? I'm trying to do mouth reading.
I thought I read Wrigley.
Oh,
Oh, I like
Don,
that
is that
name.
right,
Wrigley,
Wrigley?
good one.
Wrigley,
Good
good
job.
job.
Wow.
He's
We
very
we have a
cute.
lip reader.
Oh, it's adorable.
I
Jill, who we got here, Jill? Oh.
This
Aw.
is this is Ozzy. This
Oh.
is my honey's son's dog that happens to live with us.
You're like the babysitter. You're like
Uh,
me.
yeah, he just happens to love me more.
Who can blame
Don't
him?
That's
tell don't
amazing.
tell
Oh,
your son that.
Trisha, I was telling them before you joined about your dogs.
Oh
Oh,
my God. Whose dog is that?
This is Trisha's, the one I was telling you about that
My
she posts
Trisha.
in Slack
Oh
all the
my
time.
God. Oh my God. Look at those eyes.
I
Gorgeous. How calm is that dog?
Well,
Holy.
he had surgery, so he's a little sedated right now with some medication.
told you.
Oh,
Have you been seeing these AI dog videos? I know they're AI, they're not real, but of huskies getting veterinary treatment. If you haven't, they are cracking me up. You've got to go look up TikTok huskies in the vet. They're hysterical.
oh my God. That's so beautiful.
All right,
There's
who else?
my blob
Dallas. Oh, here we
there.
go.
That's one of our blobs.
Oh, the
That's
cat.
that's
Oh,
Bailey. She's
Oh.
7. They're both 7. I don't know if you saw earlier, Koa wanted to get in my lap, and he's got the 18-inch tail, and he's about 18 pounds. She's not that big, but she is about 13 pounds.
Oh my
aw.
This is
That's
pretty much
so
this place that we're in pretty much all day.
uh-huh.
gosh.
Great assistant, let me tell you.
That's so
I
great.
bet. Quiet and kind.
Heather says
Anybody
she's
else?
a fellow cat owner. No pictures, Heather.
Oh,
Oh,
I don't own the cats. They own me.
oh
Let's
yeah.
let's
Well,
be completely truthful here.
yeah.
One of them, the one that was in here earlier, Koa, he demands his wet food in the morning. And so it starts usually about 4:30, 5 o'clock, the meowing, and then it becomes incessant. And then by 6:30, 7 o'clock, if he hasn't had his breakfast, it's full on wailing like he has never eaten ever in his life. Every morning.
Oh, God.
I always
That's
say we're the
funny.
servants, we're
Yeah.
not the owners.
Yeah.
I was once
That's-
told that dogs come when called and cats take a message and get back to you
Yes.
later.
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah. And unless it's centered around food, and Koa's all about it. He's like comes right immediately. But
Oh, I love this picture, Sarah Beth. I'm trying to blow it up. Is this a horse? What are we looking at? Oh my gosh, the goats and the horse.
This is my
Oh,
menagerie.
look at them. They're gorgeous. Oh.
Who takes care of them all, Sarah?
When I'm here, it's me. But when I'm traveling for work, I have farm sitters.
Farm sitters. Oh my gosh.
Good.
It's
I would
usually
come
just
and look after them,
horse
just so you
crazy
know.
teenagers. Yeah, horse crazy teenagers.
Oh.
That's amazing. The
Oh,
little bit of time we have left, I would love to hear from some of you on what you love about the industry, which was one of the questions I asked. And you can come up and tell us what you love about the industry, not a paragraph or a long story, but like one thing.
there are
So,
some great things dropped in here. I've got travel, the people. There's nothing like the high after a job well done, making connections, bringing people together, all the amazing people I get to meet, traveling to new destinations, creativity, travel and fun, community,
so nobody said they
connection.
love, hold on, nobody said they loved Clubici? Whoa, that's not great. But I'll tell you what, I love Club Ichi, right? I do, and I'm sure everybody will agree. We all love Club Ichi. Such a great place to be. And I just want to know, is Nicole actually there?
Yeah, she's on a call in the other room though.
Oh, too bad. Okay.
Yeah. Which,
Um,
every once in a while we got to make a buck.
is anybody else? Yeah, right. You give so much love, I have to tell you, I don't know how you make money on giving it away.
We
Um,
don't.
yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, I know. But people love you for that, Liz.
Thanks. So does my landlord.
Oh my God. Um, does anybody else have anything they want to share before
I
we
just want to share that I'm really grateful for everybody showing up today. This was really fun. Melody, it's been a pleasure meeting you. Janice has been talking you up for a month ever since she first found you. And Janice, thank you for pulling this together. I know that you've got monthly gatherings planned for the rest of the year. So we
you?
are going to have on March 4th, I think is the next one for International
Yep.
Women's Day. You've got someone incredible coming to chat with us then too.
Yes, it's Julie Averill, who used to be the chief information officer for Lululemon, um, and many other brands in her past. And she broke out on her own. And she calls herself a chief impact officer. She's written a book that's just coming out this March, actually. And I heard her speak on somebody else's event, and I thought she was fabulous. So I'm bringing her in. And oh my God, who is that? Big cat. But yeah, and we've got quite a few things lined up. I won't tell you guys about April and May just yet, but there's some very exciting stuff coming our way. Things that are very different, and people with different perspectives on things that, you might want to hear about that you really haven't heard about. So I'm if anybody has any suggestions of the kind of speaker they would like to hear, please DM me and I will see what I can do. Because what do I do? I like scoop along the internet, and that's how I met Melody. Put in self-love speakers.
I
There
love
she
it.
came up.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then just a couple other things. If you're job seeking, of course, our next job search council coming up in, I think it's week after next, we have a recruiter for the event industry joining. And then our fellow Ichikin, Mark Leduc, is going to run a little workshop on how to answer the question, tell me about yourself. Because that's the worst interview question that could possibly ever exist. And so we'll do a little peer role play trying to figure that one out. And then if you want to hang out in person, our next gathering is going to be March 27th and 28th in Chicago for our spontaneous think tank. We would love to see you there.
Well, is that why Nicole picked that place that looks so gorgeous in Chicago?
Oh, we're going to be at Catalyst Ranch, which we love. We did a spontaneous think tank there back in 2019, and we're so excited to get to go back. It's just the perfect vibe for us. It's awesome. And I haven't
Oh,
totally booked
wow.
it yet, but I think we're going to do our opening dinner at a place called The Village, which is just a classic Italian place with family style everything with the mob feeling. It's just perfect for Chicago, right?
Isn't it
Not
gonna
the
be
best food, but it's the
cold?
best company.
Won't it be really, really cold?
In March? Nah. You'll just need a
What?
light cardigan.
It's still
Oh,
winter.
please. Liz, please.
It's the
Don't,
end of March.
don't.
Come on, we can be
I
hopeful.
mean, it has snowed in May, so don't even start. I spent 17 years there, and I am so glad that I am now in Central Florida.
Oh, that's funny.
Stop making us all jealous.
It's a whole whopping 73 today. You're welcome.
Yeah, but
You're
talk
so
to us
lucky.
during hurricane season.
Not one hit us last year, so come
You
on.
better knock on some wood. Uh-uh.
Oh,
I
y'all are
hope
funny.
everybody really had fun today, and thank you very much, to everybody who showed up. And we didn't let any note takers come in here because I knew that that would be an excuse for people to not show up. So I said only the ones that are going to come in here live. That's it.
Real,
So
actual people.
yeah, real people, because I'm seeing too many note takers lately, and that's just like escapism, in my opinion. But yeah, so that's it. Thank you so much. And Melody, I cannot thank you enough. You have been wonderful. We learned a lot, and God bless you with those two girls you have.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much. It was such a privilege to spend this time with you. I really had a great time.
Thank you
Awesome.
all. We'll see you soon. Bye. Happy Valentine's Day.
Bye.
Love you. Mwah.
Bye.